Hello. Hey, the names have popped up now. Hey, typical. Now I can actually move them around. Fuck you, you fucking piece of shit. I was trying to do it before, it wouldn't work. You piece of shit. So I'm still not working properly. There's only 2 that have shown up. Jesus Christ. Anyway, guys, it's the GRcade Twitchcast. This is the 3rd episode, and we're going to be talking about our personal game of the year, not to be confused with the GRcade game of the year, which hasn't been done yet. I think we may talk about a couple of other things like disappointing game and that kind of thing, but so far we'll...
A general yearly review, really.
Exactly,
yeah.
Stuff
that's happened.
Yeah, stuff that's happened this year, which involves games. I guess. So what I will do is I'll hand it over to Doom, and we shall hear what his personal favourite game of this year was.
Okay, so I think I mentioned it in the stream I was doing earlier on today. This is the first year that I've spent more time and money on retro-related items than current gen stuff. As a result, it means my kind of game of the year potential is somewhat limited. So, based purely on the sheer amount of fun I've had on it with friends and that especially, I have to give my personal game of the year to Sea of Thieves, which is probably not the first game on most people's radar. But
no.
No. But I took the game on. I just accepted the game for what it was on face value on day one. So did a couple of friends of mine, and we, played it from day one, and we saw it through all of its updates that we had. I think it was every 2 weeks, and then once a month we had a big update, and it was just more and more content. And now, I mean, the game's almost unrecognizable compared to what it was originally, and it was just getting so much fun. It just got more and more fun, and that game was what has restored faith in this current generation of gaming for me. Because up until this point, I was getting very frustrated with it. Nothing was clicking. I hadn't found a game that was like really kind of gripped me, and I had real good fun with. Plenty on the Xbox 360, plenty on the GameCube, plenty on the N64, and all the way back. But this generation was the first that nothing was clicking, and then this came along, and I just had an absolute blast with it. Didn't take it seriously. I knew it was lacking in content day one, but it didn't matter. We just went out there and we just had loads of fun, and we reaped the rewards by being one of those players that stayed from the beginning, and we watched the game develop. Yeah. So like I say, just sheer fun, and it restored some faith in this current gen Sea of Thieves, and the greatest water effects I've ever seen in a game.
I guess I would have to have really good water effects. How many hours do you have on it?
How many hours do I have on it?
Do you think,
probably around the 200 mark.
Not bad.
It's not bad.
When did that come out? It came out in March.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, for me, I liked Sea of Thieves. It was quite fun to play. I played it with Matt, Jasm, Xantham, a couple of other people, but I think the fact that we couldn't really do much other than throw poke at each other, which I thoroughly enjoyed doing to Jasm, I will admit. I think the fact that the content was lacking for us, me anyway, I think for them as well, it kind of made us get bored of the game a bit quickly. So,
which I totally accept as well. I understand why people would get bored of the game. I think maybe simple things for simple minds, maybe, and that's why it gripped me for so long. But I would say, as the updates came out and they started adding it was like every 2 weeks they were just adding a little bit extra and a little bit extra, and then they started doing the bigger DLCs once a month or so, and the momentum picked up. And now, like I said, if you go back on the game now and you haven't been on it since like the first month or so, you wouldn't recognize it. You know, it's admittedly a lot of that content probably should have been there day one, but the fact is we got it now. We haven't had to wait as long as No Man's Sky, because that was the comparison it was getting. It took how many years for No Man's Sky to get to where it should have been on day one? I think it was longer than that, 2 years. I think 2016 the game came out. And it was only this year. Yeah, and it was only this year the next update was brought all the content in they promised at day one. So yeah, you know, haven't had to wait that long. And like I said, just for sheer fun, which that's what gaming's all about at the end of the day. It can't be beaten by any other game I've played this year. Put it that way.
No, that's fair enough. Like I said, for me and you, we've had kind of different. The lack of content has had a different effect on us. Like for you, it was just all about having fun in the game with your friends and having a laugh. Whereas for like me and the guys, that was fun, but we needed more to keep us playing. And I think the fact there were gaps between content updates had a negative effect for us, because Matt and Jazam and Graham, I believe, all played it via Game Pass. And as they only had like a trial of Game Pass, they then weren't able to continue to go back every month and check the new stuff. So I think that's what was a bad thing for us then. Yeah. But it sounds like you had a lot of fun with it, so it's great.
Is there any kind of like story to it? Or are you just going around in like a sandbox?
Yeah, it's very sandbox-esque, and it's more
Fallout 76.
It's kind of world events that you do while in the sandbox, rather than there's no story-driven aspect as such. There's they've started injecting lore, kind of a bit of lore into the game as the updates have been going, and they kind of monthly events. So there's achievements for everyone to work towards, and I can hear myself all of a sudden.
Oh, Doom 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, it's all kind of open world, world events. So everybody can do them.
I think that's one of the big things I missed out on. Is there would be like certain things you'd have to like, I can't remember exactly what, you'd have to take on a certain pirate ship or attack a certain fort, and it would only happen every so often, and you would need to like say 2 or 3 different groups of pirates to team up together and take you down. That sounded like it would have been a lot of fun to do, but I never got to experience it.
Yeah, and up until honestly for the first 4 or 5 months of the game, it was basically impossible to team up with people. It is still a bit difficult now, but back then there was no way to like group up with anybody. As far as I'm aware, I haven't played the game for maybe a month or so now, just because I've been busy with other things. You still can't invite. You can invite your friends into your crew, but you can't invite friends into your game and them not be a part of your crew. So, but they put like just a really simple mechanic into the game, which allows you to group up with other ships in your particular server. And it's a simple. You raise a certain flag on at the mast of your ship, which says that you're open for an alliance. All another ship has to do is go close enough to you and raise that flag.
Oh no, okay.
Now raise the same flag. You automatically will join an alliance with them. You can see them on the map. You can see what they're doing, and you know it all of a sudden then you're working as a team. And that group can be. I think basically you could have every single pirate ship on that current server in one big alliance, just moving around the map, doing world events if you wanted to.
That's interesting.
And that's when, honestly, the first time I experienced that was about 4 or 5 days after that update came out, and we literally had, and they've got a third ship now. They've got your sloop, which is your 2-man crew, very efficient with 2.
Yeah.
And then you had your galleon, which was a 4-man, and there was nothing in between. So they brought the brigantine in, which is your 3-man crew, and it does bridge the gap nicely. And it was a few days after the update came out, and we had 8 ships all in one big alliance. And it just kind of started where we allianced with another ship, another one joined us, and then we followed them, and we found another alliance. So we kind of melded the 2 alliances together. And before we knew, we had like 8 or 9 ships. We had like a couple of galleons, sloops, brigantines, and we were literally all like sailing in formation, going around the map. And if there were any pirate ships that didn't want to alliance with us and attack us, as you can imagine, there was like an armada coming at them.
Yeah.
And then the skeleton ships were popping up, and you were blowing them out the water, and you were taking forts down. And literally, there was like 25 people, and like they'd be like, you just pull up at a random island, everybody jump off the ship onto the island, and you're just playing music, and you're getting drunk with each other, and you're throwing puke everywhere. But there's 25 people doing it, and then inevitably someone brings like the keg, the explosive keg in the middle of 25
all up.
of us, and boom, you all go there. And everyone's laughing. And honestly, you're all in game chat, you're all laughing with each other, and it's just amazing. Yeah, it's stuff like that. You know, they've really brought like that kind of sense of camaraderie, I guess you could say. You know.
Yeah, it sounds a lot more interesting than when I first played it, because I played on launch, and I could get on the server. So, yeah. It sounds a lot more interesting. The one thing I would like to be able to do is, like, jump on the game, be the admiral, invite you and Kriken to be the 2 captains of another ship, and you can invite friends, and I'll boss you all around. No, it definitely sounds a lot more... It sounds a lot more fleshed out than it was, but it still sounds like it could do with, like, I don't know, some kind of like really cool story kind of thing to go with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not aiming to be that kind of game, so
No,
who
and
knows?
they've never promised that either. So.
No. Right.
It's like you know, with Breath of the Wild, like most of the people I hear talking about that, like quite like a good portion of them still haven't even completed the game.
How come?
And they've had it like since launch.
Yeah.
Exploring.
Just
all
exploring.
The time for, like 150 hours. I'm like, you're not curious to see what the story holds and all that? But we're like, no, we still haven't like completed some divine beast. We're just exploring. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's catering for a specific type of person, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
I might check it out. What's the player versus player combat actually like? Is it good?
Yeah, well, it's honestly, if you're new and you get picked on by a very experienced crew who are very efficient in how they maneuver their ship, and because it's all about teamwork, especially on a galleon, they'll frustrate you, and it can become quite difficult. But now they have implemented like a separate, if you so wish, a separate PvP server. So if you want to go on the game and kind of learn the mechanics and get good at, just simply get good at the game, then you can do that. But then if you feel a bit more confident, you can go into PvP servers where you can still do all those things, but you're just open to attack basically, and people can loot your ship and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I've always enjoyed the combat. It's not the hand-to-hand, like the player versus player combat when you're like on their ship or they're on your ship, and that it's real simple. It's not it's nothing too complicated. It's just simple, and it's more about timing to get your hit in before they hit you, and you're jumping around to dodge. The ship combat, you've really like, once you got to know what you're doing, you don't so much. It's just more about communication with whoever else. Like if you're on your own in a sloop, people can be successful, but yeah, if you've got a couple of if you've got a couple of friends on, in the moment when you're all concentrating, it's amazing because like you're proper communicating with each other. You're like, oh, they're turning left, they're turning right, and you're one of you steering the ship, and the other one's moving the cannons, and the other one's controlling the sail to get maximum turning.
I remember one time me, Matt, Jasm, and someone else. I always say someone else because I'm never sure, because at the time it was like usually me, Matt, and Jasm, and then Grum or Xantham. So someone, one of, but we were chasing after this, chasing after this ship, gunning after them because they attacked us. And then all of a sudden something blew up. They'd actually managed to jump in the water, swim under the water, climb up a ladder, and put a bomb down and shoot us.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah.
Little shits.
Nice.
None of us noticed, like.
Yeah. We've done that so many times. It's so much fun doing that when you're on the run and you're being chased, and just one of you jumps off the edge with a TNT or with a gunpowder crate, and all you got to do is go under their ship and let go of it, and as soon as it touches the hull, it will explode on contact. And like all of a sudden, you just see their ship just stop dead because they've hit the anchor, because they've had to repair like 8 holes in their hull, and they're sinking fast, like, and you can get away and stuff. And yeah, oh, it's amazing. For me, it is anyway.
No, it sounds fun, and the time I spent on it, which was only about a couple of days playing it with the guys, it was genuinely enjoyable. But we all just thought it needed more, and they sound like they've added that now. But whether I'll get around to it now, another thing.
I was going to say I've been threatening it a bit now, but I do plan to do some streaming on Sea of Thieves. So if anyone wants to have a go, and okay, I'm no expert at the game, but I'm experienced at the game. So if you're a little bit new at the game and you're not sure, if you want to jump on with me, at least like I can hit the ground. I can hit the ground running because I know how to play the game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if there is anybody who wants to join in, but they're a bit like, oh, it's a bit overwhelming. Well, I'm more than happy for people who've never played to jump on with me, and I'm not going to teach them much. I'm not saying I know everything about the game, but maybe just watching how I kind of play the game might just help others, like kind of go, oh yeah, I think that's for me,
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Right, as we've talked about Doom's Game of the Year, we shall move on to Kriken's Game of the Year. I have a feeling I know what it's going to be, but we shall see. Kriken, take it away.
My Game of the Year, it's not Fallout 76.
Oh, really?
I'm really shocked.
You might be surprised, yeah. It's not Mega Man 11 as well, even though I like that game a lot. It's actually Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch.
Get out.
Yeah, it's quite good. Alright, yeah, guys.
I didn't realize you'd even played it. Wow.
As Grum says, Smash. I was actually to want to get this game and like it. I was actually on the day it was released. I was just watching people play it, and I was like, this new Smash is looks really good. So the next day I bought a Switch, and it's like one of the most impulsive things I've done in a while. But I don't regret it. It's a very fun game. It's like Sakurai and his team have definitely like taken on board like criticism and like just made everything better. Like the game's it plays a lot faster. Like it's a lot more like interactive. Like you can actually like kill people off stage now. I know like to a lot of people that's not like a big deal, but if you just watch like Smash 4 matches, like a lot of the stuff's just on stage. Like as soon as like someone jumps off a stage, it's like it's a bit too risky to do anything off stage. So it's a lot more exciting now. There's actually like quite a bit of beefy single player content this time. Unfortunately, they've gotten rid of mini games like home run contests, and there's no like targets, break for targets. That's right. There's like none of that now, but there is like a proper adventure mode again, kind of, and classic modes really good. like will agree with that.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I
definitely,
agree with it. I've done World of Light. I played through the entirety of that. But I was disappointed because I finished it. I was like, yay! And it was like 99.67%. I was like, no! I missed some spirits. But,
It's stupid how you can't, like, just view which spirits you're missing on the map.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to just wander around
Yeah,
endlessly.
it is a bit daft. There are some oversights in that respect, but they don't affect the core gameplay, so it doesn't matter too much. The thing with the game for me is I haven't played it much online, but I have played it probably more than I did Brawl or 4, because I just didn't really get on with them as well after Melee. I was like, I didn't get into the games as much, but this one is just like so much more interesting to me, and I don't know why. It's probably because of the tweaks they've made to kind of get a better balance then, but you know.
I think the Wii U version was just like missing something special. It was like because they split like the development between Wii U and 3DS. It felt like kind of low budget to me in a way. They like expanded the cast. They had like the modes were like
They kind of just ticked the boxes, really, rather than
pretty much
push the boundaries.
You think they've added too many characters though? Because they've got all the characters from previous games.
Ultimate.
Yeah, do you think it's just too many, or do you think it's fine?
I would have said, but I guess like the whole thing about this game is they've included everyone, so that's like the tagline that like that caught people's attention. I think it's pretty cool, or pretty high for the next game. For the next game, they might.
Well, I was going to say, I think overall,
characters.
I think overall as well, I think they're making the roster size. I think they're making a statement, and I think it's excuse the pun, but it's the ultimate execution of how you incorporate other licenses that are out of your control into a game, and there is no other game that's been able to handle it as well as Smash has, and still maintain the feeling of what Smash is like. It would have been so easy for the license holders of a lot of these characters to say, well, yeah, you can have them in the game, but we want this and we want this, and they've got to be able to do this and that, and then it's kind of taken away what Smash is. I think in some way, I think I don't know how Nintendo handled their deals when it came to dealing with these negotiations, but I'd like to think that Nintendo kind of just put them out there and just kind of said, we want your IPs in our game, but we're more than happy, money and whatever's needed to bring them in, but you play by our rules. We know how to make a Smash game. We know how to make your character successful. We're just asking, here's some money, give us the IP, and we'll take it from there. And I think a lot of companies trust Nintendo. I think they know that they ain't gonna muck this up. But like I say, I don't think there's any other. Realistically, there is no other company that could have handled dealing with so many licenses from so many developers, and being able to bring them all together in such a coherent way. So it's just a fine execution of how to handle this kind of thing,
I think at the moment as well, like with how successful the Switch is, like people are really cozying up to Nintendo right now, saying,
"Oh yeah,
they want the games on that console because it's the hotness right now. Like all the games are doing really well, and like Super Meat Boy, I think when it was released on the Switch, it's been out but that became the best-selling version of that game, like remarkably.
Most indie titles that are released on the Switch have outsold the Xbox and the PS4 sales for that game, and a lot of Steam as well. So it's
it's nuts. Yeah, it's
surprising.
Really sorry, go on, Pedz.
I was just gonna say, surprising that that's the case, considering there's a lot less Switches in the world than the PlayStation 4s and the Xbox Ones and the PCs. But I'm assuming a lot of people are buying it for the portability factor.
Yeah.
Again, as people know on GRcade, that makes no difference to me. I'll buy it on usually the PC simply because my PC and my Switch connect to the same TV and I don't play it undocked. So yeah, but
Yes.
it's turned out to be a great success for Nintendo when it comes to selling things. So fair play. But with Smash, it's like, I think the cool thing about having all those characters is there is a character there for everyone. It's like some people will go towards characters they like from specific games more than how well they play. Like some people play the game like proper competitively. Me, I couldn't give a fuck. I play as Link because I just like Link from my favorite game series, which is Zelda, obviously. But I don't know how good Link is in a competitive way. For all I know, it could be like literally the worst character in the game, and I would still play as him. So, there you go.
Yeah, and some people still end it with like other characters, but yeah, you're right. There's something for everybody, and I'm fine with even if I'm just like pretty happy with like a few of those characters. I don't mind. Something for everyone. It was like quite ballsy of Sakurai to have like all these characters. Well, Sakurai and his team. It's not just him. Like he's the director, obviously, but I think like everybody at Nintendo working in this game deserves like credit for it. But like he just likes to surprise people, I guess. Like because there was probably a lot of discussion before the game came out as to like who was being cut, characters were being cut, but then he was like, no, we're bringing back every single character.
Yeah.
And we got Ridley as well. So you probably like believe that Ridley was like never coming to Smash, but that happened.
It makes you think though, like Sakurai seems to be the one behind all the character inclusions and stuff like that. It does explain the worry behind people and Nintendo actually having the say on the DLC characters, because it seems like Sakurai has looked at characters that he thinks would be interesting to put in the game and how we can work them into the game well. Whereas with the Nintendo decision, is that going to be taken away? And it's just like this character is just popular. Just chuck him in.
Yeah.
You know, is that a concern for you?
That did come to mind, but I feel like Sakurai did put like popular characters in as well, like just based on like what seemed popular, like with Chrom. That he was very high in popularity polls. I didn't really expect him to go in. I thought he was like choice. And like a new Fire Emblem characters, they always end up going in. New Pokemon. Yeah, I see what you mean though. Like we'll see with the next. I'm very interested to see what the next DLC character is, because if it's something like, I don't know, main characters, we might like start seeing a trend where the new character like teases like a port to the Switch, maybe like with Joker and Persona 5.
Well, that's what I was thinking as well. Is I'm wondering if the reason why Nintendo they're the ones who made the picks because they're using Smash as a bargaining tool to maybe get some more certain games ported over.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, and it's a hell of a draw, isn't it? If somebody, you know, if Nintendo went to you, we really want, apart from the fact that we really want your game on our system, which is proven at the moment in terms of sales, it's the fastest selling system of all time. It's at this current point, it's sold more units than the Xbox or the PS4 did at the same time in their lifetime, in their lifespans. On top of that, we also will put one of your main characters in Smash, which is like, how big is that game? I mean, it's nuts. Like last week in Japan, they did like nearly 500,000 copies. The week before that, they did just under 500,000. That's 1 million copies in Japan in 2 weeks. They're pushing like 3 million copies at the moment, like since release. It's nuts. Like worldwide, I mean, it's mind-boggling really to think how many people have bought this game. So you got to think like how it's free advertising for the owners of the IPs of these games, isn't it? Like, we'll stick your main character in Smash, instant exposure, to like 5-6 million people right there, and following that, we'll then put your game on our system.
I think Joker is a cool character to put in Smash, but he's definitely their character to put in because there's barely a history of Persona games on like Nintendo consoles. There are only like a few spin-offs. Whereas with something like Ryu, I'm not sure if Street Fighter's featured much on Nintendo consoles, but I don't have like quite a good relationship, so...
Well, Street Fighter 2 and all them lot were definitely on the Super Nintendo.
They had a great relationship back then.
Street Fighter 4 was on the 3DS. Other than that, I can't think of any later games that were on Nintendo consoles. But there's a history there with
the 90s.
Yeah, with Persona, I literally I don't know any Persona games on a Nintendo console. Obviously, you said there's spin-offs, but there's nothing. There's no main games. And I know there are other Shin Megami Tensei games, or however it's pronounced, on like the 3DS and what have you. But again, you'd think they would use a franchise that's been on the console over a franchise that hasn't been on the console. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if they do come up with... the thing is, with Nintendo making the decisions about the characters going on there, you've then got to put your trust in Sakurai and his team to then make them fit well and give them a unique spin that other characters don't have. So realistically, even with Nintendo's decisions on who goes on there, it's still going to be down to Sakurai and his team to make them fit the game well. And I going from experience of playing all the Smash Brothers games, I don't see him having much of a problem with that.
No,
but,
definitely not. It's a nice surprise as well. Like, he surprised every Smash game. Like with Brawl, Snake was the most surprising choice, and there was Sonic as well. And with Wii U, when they announced the DLC characters, like getting Cloud and Ryu, that was like nuts. And now like Joker's like, by this point, it's like almost not surprising, but it's still like kind of crazy that Joker's
I think out of all the characters that have been announced for Ultimate, the one that surprised me the most was Piranha Plant. It's fucking Piranha Plant. What's next? A Goomba, like a Goomba. Yeah,
Stack
just
of
chuck a Goomba in there.
Stack, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I need to play more of it, but so many games to play.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Not enough time in the day.
Exactly.
That's right.
As we all need sleep.
So, Pedz, what's your game of the year?
Well, I had hard decisions to make because I've played so many games this year. I finished about 3. No, for me, I was thinking Mega Man 11 because, as you guys will know, well, maybe not Kriken and Doom, but like Graham in chat and other people who have watched my streams will know that in the last 2 years I went through Mega Man 1 to 10. I'd only ever played a little bit of Mega Man 1 when I was a kid, and then I never played Mega Man again until about 2 years ago. And then I went through the entire series. I went through like the first 2 in like a couple of months, and then I had a big 6-month gap and went through 3 to 10, all in like a couple of months. And I come away thoroughly enjoying Mega Man. I put it up as one of the best game series I've ever played. Absolutely love it. And apart from the jump, slide shit, that can piss off. But with Mega Man 11, I found that they struck a perfect balance of bringing the retro aspects of the game and modernizing them. Same way I thought with Doom back in 2016 when I thought that when that was my game of the year. They made a retro game fit a modern standard and they molded it perfectly, in my opinion. I think Mega Man 11 is in comparison to older Mega Man games, a little on the easy side. Especially if you get the special item in the shop that gives you more energy tanks. I didn't get that, so I had a bit more of a challenge than some. But it still is a little bit on the easy side because of the gear system. Have any of you played Mega Man? I know Kriken has. Have you played Mega Man 11? Doom?
I haven't, no. Mega Man's always been a series that's kind of eluded me, I have to be honest.
For shame.
I played Mega Man 11 on the easy setting because it was my first Mega Man game, and it was like recommended to me. It was very easy. It was extremely easy in the difficulty, so I kind of felt like I should have chosen normal at first, but I did try a bit of normal. Like in that mode, like the gear system, it finally felt like I needed to use it a bit.
Yeah.
Difficulties, it felt like completely superfluous. Like I didn't need to use it at all. So yeah, I don't know, like I don't know how necessary it becomes later on, but in some parts it did seem a little bit.
But yeah, the gear system for me, like I said, it makes the game somewhat easier than the other ones, because where you'd have to struggle with certain platforming sections in the previous games, you could then use the slow down mechanic to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
When you fight the Yellow Devil, bastard, in the first game, if you didn't use the glitch, which was the select pause glitch, then that boss is genuinely fucking balls to the wall tough. In this game, I did die to him once or twice, or 3 times, something like that. But because of the gear system, again, I was able to slow things down and avoid his blobs a lot easier. Whereas you can't do that in Mega Man 1 and I think 4 he's in or something. So you have that. I guess it's like a kind of like a reintroduction of the series for newer players to get used to the way the game is by having this system that can help alleviate some of the difficulty.
You say it's a reasonable difficulty then, because I haven't played the older Mega Mans, but I'm just gonna guess that maybe some of the older ones, maybe it's like some of the design's not fair.
I wouldn't say the design isn't fair in a lot of older games. The thing that can be annoying in older games is respawning enemies, especially when you're trying to do certain jumps and they respawn and respawn. So at sometimes it can be a little bit, oh, the design isn't great here, but for the most part, it's genuinely that it's just difficult platforming. For me at least, and if there were times where I did say this is bullshit when playing the games because certain things were bullshit, but in general it was just a hard game. I'd say
like they're extremely hard compared to like other games of the era, or they're like much harder.
No, they're definitely harder games. Like I've never beaten an old school Castlevania because I find them just too difficult. Even though I thoroughly enjoy them, I struggle with them a lot. Whereas with Mega Man, you can. I don't know. There was something about it where I would just keep playing and keep playing and keep playing, and however much I died, I just had that I want to carry on, and so the frustration didn't set in with it like a lot of other games that I struggle with. So I think that was the main thing there. It was just I was having so much fun with it. I didn't mind redoing stuff.
You save on the the NES Mega Man games. Could you like save? Was it like a password save? Like how did it work? Because I know you have to go through several levels.
It was password saves from Mega Man 2 onwards. And then I think... I'm trying to remember. I'm not sure if it was password saves up till 9. No, password saves up till 8. 8 on the PlayStation. 8.
9's the Wii one, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, Wii 360 and PS3, yeah. Yeah, 9 is really good. It's very hard, and I like it. 10 was much easier. But in terms of difficulty, I would put Mega Man 11 quite low on the list of, like, difficulty.
Wow.
Like, Mega Man 2 is pretty easy. Mega Man 6 is unbelievably easy. And I would say Mega Man 11's around 2's difficulty.
Alright, okay.
To be fair, though, it did take me longer to finish Mega Man 11 than Mega Man 2. I think that's just because it's a longer game. Mega Man 2, I think I streamed it. I've done it in one sitting. Same with Mega Man 6. Mega Man 6, I definitely did. Who knows? Anyway, but
mentioned this, but the saving in the game is a bit like I definitely closed the game after doing a stage, and I was like, wait a second. I needed to manually save, didn't I? And
yeah, I never had that problem because even usually when I'm knocking the game off, I tend to save it manually anyway, it's out of habit, I think, from way back when. But I can completely understand that being a problem for people because nowadays you're so used to auto-saving. So the fact that it wasn't there, it was a bit of an oversight, really.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
that makes sense since we're like different save files, but like chances are there aren't really gonna be that many people.
Yeah, but yeah, I definitely would recommend Mega Man 11 to anyone, especially if you're a newcomer to the game. It's definitely a good place to start because it is a less like if you start on Mega Man 1, you're going to struggle a lot more than you are on Mega Man 11. The only problem with starting with Mega Man 11 is if you go back, you're going to miss some of those quality of life improvements, and then you might find them more difficult to play. So, you know, but Mega Man 11 was thoroughly great. I played through it myself. I watched Jasm play through it. I think I saw Kriken playing it as well. I think.
Yeah, I was playing it too.
Yeah, Kriken I saw playing it. I watched Jasm do a hard run of the game, and because he got that upgrade, where you would get
a lot easier.
It just made it even on. He played on the hardest difficulty, and he didn't have much trouble because what would happen is the hardest difficulty stops you from getting items. Instead, you would get money instead of an item drop. Of course, then you would just constantly buy E-tanks. You're low on health. Oh, I'll just pop an E-tank. Full health again. It just makes it too easy.
That sounds stupid. Yeah.
So I said to Jasm was, you haven't done it. I said, what you do is you do one level, you're allowed to go to the shop and buy 2 energy tanks, and that's it, each level you complete. And he's never gone back because he's too scared. So yeah, that's my game of the year.
The game looks and sounds really nice too. Like at first I thought it looked from the artwork, but it's actually it's a nice looking game.
It is. That's actually the thing. When I first saw it, I was a little bit. I was thinking, is this going to be another Mighty Number 9?
Yeah.
And then it definitely. I think it looked better when I had it myself and sat down to play it. I didn't mind the look of it, but I was a bit unsure of it, especially with the other games. Like Mega Man doesn't look like the original sprites of Mega Man then, because he's like taller, skinnier, and he doesn't hold his arms out like he's got bricks and barrels underneath them. But yeah, it's a lovely little game, and one thing about Mega Man is the games, at least like Mega Man Legends when Jasm was playing there, it's not like that game in that game didn't really have any sound that I can remember.
Oh, it didn't have any music in it.
Like Mega Man Legends, innit? It was just like it was like he was going through a dungeon, and I think it was you who said, "Oh, the famous Mega Man music," and there's nothing playing. Whereas Mega Man 11, like the previous 10 and Mega Man X series, awesome music, and there is just awesome music in there. And I think with the game you had like a separate track, so you had like a different like piano and all that sort of thing playing, which you could switch to. I think that is really good, but it doesn't fit the game as well as the like game music version of it then, if that makes sense.
What, you could switch to piano soundtrack?
Yeah, it was like a I'm trying to think what kind of music it was. Like it wasn't blues, but it was soul or something.
Wait, in Mega Man 11, sorry.
Yeah, Mega Man 11.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, you could switch it up. It's in the options, I think. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out, guys. Mega Man 11 is definitely fantastic. If you're a fan of the old games, you will like Mega Man 11. If you've never played other games, then chances are you will enjoy this game, but you may find it difficult to go back to the earlier games, especially one where you don't have the slide, you don't have the charge, you just have the normal everyday pea shooter. So, it's definitely worth looking into.
Cool, sounds good.
Right. That's my game of the year. Kriken, what game came out this year that you were so looking forward to? And everyone was raving about it. And then you put it on and you thought, what is this shit?
I actually have that kind of game in mind. I mean, I didn't think it was shit, but I got Luigi's Mansion for the 3DS just because I'd never played it before.
Right, wait. You're going to say something bad about... Ban him? Ban him?
It was a bit of a rude awakening. I mean, I still enjoyed the game overall, but like going from Luigi's Mansion 2, which I like absolutely loved, which I played a few years ago, I was like, yeah, this is a little bit different. It's completely different, a little less polished. It's a different gameplay style though.
So what is it that you were disappointed about? The different gameplay style, or the fact it was less polished, or
the lack of polish, I guess, and the fact that it felt like a little bit padded out. I think like a bit like the way like the rooms are like structured, and like you get keys to open certain locked doors. I had to do like quite a bit of backtracking just through those rooms again, and I felt like the game didn't feel that long, so it did feel like they padded the game out of it, and they kept that from the GameCube version, kind of understandably, just to be faithful.
Yeah, but wouldn't you, as a Metroid fan, enjoy that kind of thing? Well, with the backtracking in Metroid games, because it is meant to be a Metroidvania light, I would say.
Yeah, I suppose to an extent, but the difference is in like Metroidvania games, it feels nice moving around. Like the movement's really nice. Whereas in Luigi's Mansion, it's just kind of you just kind of waddle about with Luigi, not slowly, but.
So Luigi's a penguin.
Yeah, essentially.
So basically, if you took the polish of the second game and put that in number 3, the exploration of the first game, but on a bigger scale,
great, yeah.
On a bigger scale, so there isn't as much backtracking, but there will be backtracking at points. Would that be your preferred way then, or would you just like it expanded on 2?
You just said, because 2 did have its faults. Like every time you went into a new room, and sometimes even old rooms, EGAD would like ring you. He'd just completely halt the gameplay, and he'd just like start speaking to you. It was like that was pretty annoying, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember EGAD. I think that's probably why I didn't get very far into that game.
Well, the gameplay was fun, and it was cool having different mansions and different abilities, and it was like a polished game. So
yeah.
Did
you play Luigi's Mansion on Doom at all? Doom, did you play Doom? Did you play Luigi's Mansion on Doom? I hope you were careful with his nozzle. Did you play Luigi's Mansion on the Cube or the 3DS Doom, is what I meant to say.
Yeah. I own Luigi's Mansion 2 on the 3DS, but I haven't played it yet. But I have played the original one on the GameCube when it came out back in the day.
What was your thoughts on the original one? Was you alright? Did you enjoy it at the time, or?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I preferred it over Mario Sunshine. You know, yeah, I really enjoyed it. When I heard it was coming to the 3DS, obviously I haven't played number 2, so I've like I say, I own it. I just haven't got around to playing it. I assumed that it had a similar play style to number 1, and I was a bit concerned about how that would translate onto a 3DS. But now that Kriken said that it's a different play style, obviously, you know, that makes more sense. But that just reinforces the fact that I can't imagine it being a comfortable experience or a particularly smooth, accurate experience playing a GameCube game on a 3DS when, like you said, they've tried to maintain the authenticity and they haven't adapted it so much for the 3DS, you know?
That is the question, though, is how did they... I'm sure, I can't remember exactly, like catching ghosts in Luigi's Mansion 2, you didn't have to do the same thing as in 1, in the sense of in the GameCube. You would have to pull away with the analog stick and then, would you rotate the C stick or something like that?
Yeah, to keep following them around.
Yeah. So how would you?
They'll try and get away.
So how would you go about doing that on the 3DS? I wonder. So obviously you haven't got that. You got the little nub on the new 3DS, but that can't be very helpful, can it?
No, I as far as I'm aware, you use the touch screen to control where Luigi goes. Is it?
Honestly, I can't remember. I think you could use the D-pad to like kind of turn.
Right.
Awkward, but it was better than using gyro controls. Like I didn't really like using that, but you can use gyro controls if you want.
Could you imagine using gyro controls to catch the goals? Because I'm pretty sure on the GameCube you had to literally spin the analog stick around constantly.
Yeah.
So could you imagine doing that with the 3DS? Trying to look at the 3DS and you're shaking your DS around in a circle in front of your face. That would be cool. I want to see that.
That'll make a good advert.
How not play the 3DS?
That with the 3D on as well, so your eyes just can't adjust to it.
The 3DS advert would last all of 2 seconds, and the person would be having a seizure on the floor.
Yeah.
This is what you don't do with the 3DS, you morons.
That's another thing. While it did capture a GameCube game well, at the same time, I didn't feel like it was necessarily like an upgrade over the GameCube version.
Yeah.
Because it just like
not like Ocarina of Time remake.
The draw is really that it's portable. Like that's the biggest draw.
Yeah.
Really.
Should have put on the Switch really then, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the announcement of Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm guessing.
Games on one console, that would be nice.
I'm assuming the reason why it was put on the DS, 3DS even, is because they already had the engine. It was easier to get it out.
Yeah.
Get people excited for it, and then go boom as well as how we bring in Luigi's Mansion 3 to Switch next year sometime, and then everyone will be like, yay! But most be like, oh, why isn't it on Switch? And I was one of those ungrateful bastards.
Yes,
to be
also
fair,
because the 3DS it's continued to sell okay, I guess. So they wanted something
Yeah.
to throw to 3DS players too.
I think that's the thing, and they're not going to drop support completely because it is still
Vita.
Such a successful system.
Yeah, Sony dropped Vita support within like a week of it being released, I think.
Damn.
Doom, what is your biggest disappointment this year? You waited for a game, you're all excited, you woke up in the morning eagerly or anticipating playing a new game that came through the post, you put it in, and a shit flew up the screen in your face.
Well, I haven't allowed my experience to go that far with the game this year.
That's not fair.
Yeah, I've been very cautious. I've been very, very cautious this year, so I haven't actually been caught out by a game. But what I have done rather is not support a certain game that I would have in the past. I'm a massive Battlefield fan. I've played since Bad Company 2, and since playing Bad Company 2, I never looked at another Call of Duty game. You know, Battlefield 3 came out. I absolutely loved Battlefield 3. That for me was the definitive one. Played a lot of Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, enjoyed. And I was looking forward to Battlefield 5, up and coming. But EA messed up so badly the year prior, last year, with Battlefront, that I lost all faith in the game, which is a shame because I really rate DICE as a development. As a developers, I think they are amazing at developing these first-person shooters. They've got it down to a T. And I don't blame them at all for Battlefront 2. But because of how badly that went, I cancelled my pre-order for Battlefield 5. I literally got cold feet on it. I kept the pre-order up until a week before launch, and then I decided to pull the plug on it. I just couldn't. I was like almost getting like the feeling of anxiety thinking, oh, well, if this game turns up and I don't like it, it's going to ruin the Battlefield franchise for me. So I ended up cancelling my pre-order, and unless I hear amazing things about it, like that are absolutely true, I'm not touching the game because I don't trust. As a result of what EA have been doing, I don't want to ruin that for myself. You know, I'd rather walk away from the series going, I've had some amazing memories, and I've loved every minute of it, rather than it be soured by this experience. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what I mean. I haven't been stung this year, but by me being overly cautious, it means that I haven't been able to play what has always been one of my favorite franchises in Battlefield.
Yeah, it's such a bit of a shame. But do you know how Battlefield 5 has been handled? Has it been handled just as badly as Battlefront 2?
No, not as far as I'm aware. Like they as far as I'm aware, they still know they're not doing season passes, which I like. I think there's no kind of game-breaking buy-to-win, pay-to-win mechanics in it or anything like that. But I can't shake the feeling that there'll be something in that game that will screw me over. You know, that's how much faith I've lost in EA. Do you know what I mean? It's you know, overall, and it, you know, it took such a beating in the pre-orders as well. You know, Battlefield, like when Battlefield 1 was out, the pre-orders were nuts for that game. Everyone was so excited for it, and then to see what Battlefield 5 has become, all because of what EA have done.
I think a lot of the problem with Battlefield 5 though is a lot of people like, oh, you play as a woman and they weren't there, and that's a lot of it.
That don't bother me.
No, I'm not saying it bothers you. I'm saying that will affect that has affected.
It has. You're right. But yeah, so I don't know. I'll get it eventually. Normally, DICE are very good at, or whoever. I guess it's EA who makes the final decision. But normally, a year into the release, you normally get it for quite a good deal. So that's probably what I'll maybe look at getting it. But no, I don't know. I just.
I was thinking though, is it Battlefield 5 that has a calendar of releases of when single players come in, the multiplayers come in, the battle royale mode is coming? That's not good, is it?
No, well, see, it's stuff like that's exactly what I mean. It's like, okay, the pay to win aspect isn't there, and you know you don't have to pay for this for a season pass, so everyone gets the DLC and all this and that. But they've still messed it up. They haven't been able to give you a full game on release. So, I mean, it's like it's stuff like that just it winds me up so badly, you know.
Yeah, I can completely understand that, especially if you've been a fan of the series for a long time, and then basically you get shat on because money. Basically, and it's not like, oh, your money. It's they want more money than they were willing to lose. Yeah. So,
I guess I could say that I haven't bought the game as a form of protest. You could almost call it that. Like I'm protesting by using my wallet, if you know what I mean. By not using my wallet. Yeah, exactly. Which, you know, at the end of the day, me on my own is not going to make a big difference, but they have seen a massive, massive drop in pre-orders for this game. So, you know, obviously maybe it's worked. Maybe EA, maybe they've learned their lesson.
The problem is have they learned the right lessons? Have they listened to the fans that are like, we're not buying it for such and such reason? Or the other plebby fans were like, I'm not buying it because this person's got a toenail missing or whatever the reason was. I can't remember. Yeah. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I know, I can completely understand that. It's like if you want to buy a game and then EA or whatever company have just done a bad job with the last game or the last two games, you're not going to really keep giving them the benefit of the doubt, and you're going to want to wait, get everything's out, it comes down in price, or you buy a second hand or something, so then your money technically isn't going to them, if you know what I mean. But
yeah, exactly. So what about you then, Pedz? What's your bad experience you've had this year with a game?
Well, that's the thing. I thought this would be a good topic of discussion, but then thinking about it, I haven't really had a bad experience. All the games I've played, I've enjoyed. The only thing that is disappointing to me this year is, I would say Fallout 76. Being a big fan of Fallout, not a massive super fan like some people are who are massively disappointed with the game, but I am a fan of Fallout. And the way Fallout 76 has been handled is just crap. Bethesda have released a even shoddier game than normal. They've screwed people out of the bonus items. They've sent support tickets, cocked up with these support tickets so they go into random people. There's just so much wrong with it, and then the game isn't that good. And the point is as it's a multiplayer game, I thought it'd be good to play with a couple of the guys.
Yeah.
Even at £10, they're refusing to pay that amount because of how bad the game is.
Give Bethesda any of my money.
It's like, just
even if it's only £10.
Just play the game with me, man. It's tenner. But yeah, it's just disappointing the way that's been handled, and from the sounds of it, it's from what I've heard, like some people are enjoying the game, they're just playing it and having a bit of fun, but then you have other people who look more in depth at it and they're saying like it's basically a really not very good mod and all this sort of thing, and I get it, a lot of it can be hearsay, but when you get it from like well-respected publications who tend to just be honest about things, it then comes across as, no, this isn't just leaping on something for the sake of it. It comes across as there is a genuine problem here.
Yeah.
And that £10, while it is only £10, is do I want to buy it, or do I just want to wait until? Yeah. And the problem you've got is then with the Fallout 76 and Bethesda is it's like with Doom, and that's all. I know that's not technically Bethesda because it's id Software, and you've got Arcane, is there, Studios or something like that for like Dishonored and Prey. I can't remember the name, so don't shout at me, guys, for getting it wrong. But they're owned by Bethesda, I believe, but they're not actually Bethesda. But you've then got to worry about the overall. You've got to worry about the overall picture then of how is Bethesda going to affect these other things. And while I like Fallout, I prefer Elder Scrolls. And how are they going to fuck up Elder Scrolls 6? What about this Starfly game? I can't remember what it's called. But what about that? The space game they're planning on doing? Are they going to use the same engine? Are they going to screw that up? It just begs the question of what are they doing? Do they think that people are that stupid that they're just going to keep buying this stuff? However, well, they've done it for the last fucking 20 years, so. But no, seriously, it's just disappointing in so many ways, and it's a shame because I think while Fallout is great to explore in a solo experience for like Solitude and all that kind of thing, I think something like that could be fun with a couple of people just going around exploring and doing stuff. And I think the way they've handled the game and everything around the game has completely and utterly spoiled it. So there you go. There's not much else to say. I think people have spoken about it since before its release, so I'm not going to say much else because there's going to be people who know a lot more about it than me. I'm just going to say why I personally am a little disappointed in that, and probably more than anything disappointed in that more than anything in the year. The only other thing I was disappointed about was Pokemon Let's Go, but yeah, that wasn't that turned out differently. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Right. we're going to do one more subject, guys, and then we're going to probably end unless anyone comes up with some really interesting questions. I will go back to Doom for this one because I went Doom, Kriken and Doom, I believe. What was your biggest surprise this year? What did you go into thinking it's going to be okay or quite bad, but you end up getting it because A, it was a gift, B, you just thought, fuck it, and you just end up really loving the game?
That's a good question, actually, off the top of my head. Well, I guess, I could say Sea of Thieves again. I was looking forward to it anyway, so it wasn't like I was going into that game not assuming it would be a rough game or anything, but again, for me, I went into that game with an open mind and ready to take it at face value. So I wasn't expecting much. I wasn't expecting it to be a bad game or anything, but I just wasn't expecting much of it. And the results that I've obviously had from it, as I explained earlier, has been so much more than I imagined by a country mile. I never thought I was going to have that much fun on that particular game. So I'd say the biggest pleasant surprise has been Sea of Thieves for me. I was interested in the development. I kept in touch, with what was going on. So when it came out day one, I had it on Game Pass. I downloaded it, and it was like, don't want to sound too soppy about it, but it was love at first sight is not the best way to describe it, but there was the first time I jumped on it, it wasn't with friends. I think I had the day off and they were in work, so I jumped on and I ended up getting paired up with a couple of random Americans. So we were just chatting in game chat and working out how to play the game, but it was kind of like something just clicked immediately. And then my friends jumped on and it got even better, and like as I said earlier, just escalated from there. And that was the game that that made this generation make sense to me. So to go from a game that you can't expect, I wasn't expecting much of, to doing that, I think that's probably the biggest pleasant surprise I've had this year, definitely. But I won't go on about it too much because I had a nice big gush about it earlier. So, but yes, so for me it'd probably be Sea of Thieves again.
All right, that's fair enough. That's completely understandable with what you said earlier, added on top as well. You can't really say anything else, No. And we can't exactly say anything else either because we said what we said. So, Kriken, how about you, man? What was the game that surprised you the most this year?
Smash, wasn't it?
Yeah, same.
You weren't expecting anything.
Yeah, my game of the year is also my biggest surprise because, Smash, they released the demo, viewable about half a year before it came out. There's a tournament for it, they invited these professional Smash players to play it, and I was just watching the gameplay, and it did look a lot like just Smash Wii U. But over time, I think they did start making changes to it based on feedback. So when it finally came to release day, and I was seeing people play it, it looked like a very different game. And yeah, I'm a lot of credit to it. I think people are saying, "Oh, this is just a port," but it's a lot more than that. I think the gap between and Wii U is actually a lot smaller than this game and Wii U. Just so much change, just from all the little mechanical changes, they've just added up to so much. Really good game.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. We've spoke about it for a bit earlier, it's definitely a good game, and I actually one thing I didn't say earlier is before I unlocked Link, because I unlocked all my characters through World of Light, and that's how I've mainly played the game. I had unlocked Me Sword Fighter, and I had so much fun with Me Sword Fighter. The first time I went online and played with you and Jasm, I had my ass kicked. But when I went Me Sword Fighter, I kicked your asses, and I was like, "Yay, go Pedz, go Pedz Sword Fighter." So yeah, it's actually surprising that Like, I remember not liking the Miis at all before, but then I was like, yeah, this is actually quite fun with my chain chomp head. Well, you know. Yeah.
I'm surprised how much they listened and how much, just like a lot of things I didn't think they'd like do. Like, apparently, like Sakurai, he spoke to like some top players about should like behave, and like they gave him feedback, and like it definitely shows. It's like, yeah, I didn't expect that at all, and in fact, they had to like nerf how good the CPU was because people were like struggling to unlock the characters like very early on in the game.
I think that they've gone the right route with Smash this time, because like I think Jasmine was talking about this the last time we did podcast. Is like they really, like in Street Fighter V, then they went really down the route of pro sports, esports, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know, crappy shit. They went really down the competitive pro esports, pro player route. Whereas in this, they've got people like that on board, but they've also made it, they've still kept it easy to play, hard to master.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with, that's one of the best things about Smash, but also one of the worst, because people don't really get the game, so to speak, or see the game, think that it has the depth of a puddle, but there's actually a lot more going on in there than people give it credit for, and it's a shame that they don't see that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah. Just thinking, Dragon Ball Fighters was released this year as well, wasn't it?
Dragon Ball Fighters, yeah. That was a wonderful game, yeah.
It was very popular, but like it's strange how that's been like killed, like kind of. Like, a lot of people have like, gone off it now.
Yeah, they probably have. It doesn't help the fact that like it's being stopped from being in tournaments or something, so that's not gonna help it.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like made to be kind of like a competitive game, but
who knows what's happening there? Yeah.
So what about you, Pedz? Have you had any pleasant surprises this year?
Right. Well, I'll just do a quick thing. Mega Man 11, I was unsure about that. That isn't my biggest surprise of the year, actually. It's just a quick... That I thought, Uno, initially, here we go again, my number 9 too, so to speak. A spiritual successor, but it wasn't. But the game that actually surprised me the most is a game I have mentioned. It's Let's Go Pikachu. The reason why that I'm actually surprised I like this... I'm a big fan of Pokemon. Not a massive fan where I can list all 5,000 Pokemon off the top of my head, because I'm not that into Pokemon. But I've played every game. Sometimes, some generations I've had 2 of the copies, so I've played through it twice. Other times I've had just the 1. Like I got Fire Red and Leaf Green, played through them both. That kind of thing. But with Let's Go, when I saw it, and I thought, they tried to make it a bit too casual, and they tried to make it so that to get the Go players in, and it's going to be crap, and I hate it when I first saw it. I was watching a trailer, it was just before it came out, and it was showing actual battles, and I thought, I like the look of the battles, I'll give it a shot, so I bought the game. And I was playing it, I was thinking, the catching is not great. It's fun, it's really cool seeing the Pokemon just like running around in the grass or like flying just above it and that kind of thing. That is awesome. But the catching mechanic for me is a bit like, I'm not a big fan of it. And the like Matt pointed out when we were talking about it in one of my streams, when you've gone up against a Pokemon in the wild, in the older games, you accidentally knock it out, you get XP, you benefit from it. In Pokemon Let's Go, if you try to catch a Pokemon and it runs away, if you use berries, if you've used Pokeballs, you lose them, you lose the Pokemon, you get nothing. You literally get nothing. It is a massive oversight that really should be looked at for a sequel to that. If they do like, Let's Go Umbreon, because Umbreon's cool, and fuck the rest of the Pokemon. But what I like about it is is when you get down to it and you're just traveling through Kanto, you get to see all these Pokemon. You meet familiar characters that were in previous games. The battle system is your typical Pokemon battle system. It's fun to do. Yeah, there's no abilities, so it's a bit simplistic in that sense. But it's kind of harking back to the original games where they weren't there anyway. So it's actually become a really fun game just to play. Like I said, there are some oversights that could be tweaked, and they could probably update it a little bit more. But overall, it's actually become a very fun game that I've played compared to when I first saw it. And I genuinely, my reaction was, baby's first Pokemon. Because of the
Not like
catcher
how the rival's
mechanic.
he's not like a dick anymore.
Yeah.
For me.
Jar was a nice guy in this game. Unlike when I played through Pokemon Red in November, where Jar was a dick. But that's the thing. Like I said, you actually meet characters from previous games in this one. So
That's kind of cool. Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
like a Pokemon Sun and Moon character appear. That was a
yeah,
nice surprise.
yeah. I think that was just after I got off the SSN, was it?
That's right. Yeah, that
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah, and that's the
Looked a bit
thing.
high.
It's like that's one thing that's a little disappointing. Is there's no Pokemon other than Kanto Pokemon?
Original 150.
Yeah, or the Alolan forms of those 150. So that's a little disappointing, but at the same time, it's understandable they're trying to do a semi-retelling of Pokemon, but not because it's like different people and stuff. So, but it's a fun game, and I would say that's my biggest surprise because I genuinely expect it to be as like a 2 out of 10 game. And while I wouldn't say it's amazing, it surprised
2
me.
out of 10. Wow.
It's why that's what I expected it to be. But I would say it's definitely higher than that. It was a game that like I said, I've enjoyed. And while it isn't a top tier game, it's still a game that I like. And therefore, as I expected to hate it, and I like it, it is a surprising game. And no other game this year have surprised me. Like I said, apart from Mega Man, where I thought, at first, when it was first shown, I was like, Other than that, everything have lived up to my expectations, I say. The only other game that I thought was better than what I first thought was probably Iconoclasts, which I played at the beginning of the year, which is fantastic as well. It's a Metroidvania game. I think it's on Switch or coming to Switch soon, so you should check that out as well.
Probably, yeah. I think I'm not really too tempted by Let's Go, even though like I am a Pokemon fan. But yeah, well, one of my worries is that it doesn't have that much content retelling the original game. So it's not, like actually a lot more content than
no. From what I know, you've got catching the Pokemon, as in filling your Pokedex to 151.
Yeah.
You've then got the shiny Pokemon, which is easier to do in this game. You've then got beating like certain characters after the game, from what I know, because I haven't actually finished the game. And then you've got, I believe, Master Trainers, which I think there is 150 or 150. I don't know if there's a new one. There's definitely 150 of them. I think, and there's definitely 150. I think. So I think there's 150, and you basically just fight. It's like you'll go up against someone. It's like, oh, I'm a Bulbasaur Master Trainer, and then you take your Bulbasaur and fight their Bulbasaur.
All right.
But
Hey, I got a Kakuna. Let's do Harden all night.
I'm a master of Kakuna.
their Pokemon are like level 60 and 70, so you have to level. You've got to capture, if you don't have it already, and level your Bulbasaur or whatever you've got to match it, so you can actually have a fair fight. And the Metapod and the Kakuna ones can't, unless you've taught it, unless it's learned Tackle from somewhere else, can only other than that just do Harden. And basically, it gets to the point where both your Pokemon have run out of moves, and they have to use the move Struggle in order to do any damage. But by then, both defenses are full, so you're literally taking chip damage every single time you attack. Takes like half an hour to knock out to do the Kakuna and the Metapod Master Trainer.
Yeah, by then you've basically used self-destruct on your Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, if you wanted to try and tackle every single one of them, you'd put a lot of hours into doing that. So, and then there's daily stuff you can do as well to help gain some money and berries and stuff. So you can do you can do that kind of stuff. You can get bottle caps every day to help train your Pokemon when you get them to level 100. And then there's online battles as well, which you can do then. So once you've got a squad together and they're all, you know, you're happy with it, then you can take it online and do like random battles and that. You know, see if you can pit yourself against some others. Like,
yeah, that's the thing with Let's Go. It does have less post-game content than previous ones, but for me that makes no difference because I finish. Apart from Gold and Silver, where I actually finished the Elite Four, then went and done all the stuff in Kanto. I literally, in Pokemon, I go, beat the Elite Four, go catch the legendaries, knock it off, then put on again. That's what I do. So it literally makes no difference to me for post-game content, but I can understand with a lot of other people, they want to continue doing stuff. So
yeah.
For me, personally, if someone wanted a lot of post-game content and didn't want to just, I don't know, use the same Pokemon to battle another Pokemon, then I would say that it's very light on content and you should not get if you expect more than just doing the Pokemon League. Personally.
That's cool.
So.
Don't mind Let's Go, but I hope the mainline game that eventually gets released for the Switch, I hope it's not too much like it gameplay-wise. So.
No. Well, this is why they're releasing these Let's Go games, is to kind of test the waters, see what mechanics the community like and what they don't like. I think we're guaranteed in the next Pokemon game, the next Gen 8, we will definitely see Pokemon follow you around. I think we're definitely going to see Pokemon in the wild rather than be a random encounter. But I think overall they're going to keep the battle system to fight wild Pokemon rather than hurl a load of balls at them until you've caught them.
You've got two great balls.
Yeah.
But that is the biggest problem, is the way the catching works. Other than that, the game is great. The combat system is the same, a little more simplified compared to the last game because it's removed abilities and what have you, as I said. But mechanically, it's pretty sound. It just needs...
And visually, it's stunning.
Visually, it's...
I like it anyway.
Visually, for me, it's a mixed bag. Some things look really good, and then other things look like really bad. Like people's faces look awful. Matt, I think when I was streaming it, he posted a link of a Wii game, and it looked like that Wii game, literally the same. Yeah, but maybe a little less pixely. That was about it. So yeah, it's a good game. Not the best game, but it was a surprise to me to actually be good in general. So there you go.
Yeah.
Random question, but like, what is the writing like in the game? Because I remember seeing like somebody beat the Elite Four champion, and they did a bit of a twist on like what happens. I'm not gonna really spoil what happens, but yeah.
I have no idea.
Any surprises?
I was told by someone, I'm not sure who, I know exactly who, that if you catch Mewtwo with the Master Ball, there's a special cutscene and stuff for her.
There is, yeah. Like, seriously, generally, if you want the challenge, what you'd normally do is get the Master Ball and then use it on something really menial like a Caterpie or a Magikarp or something, because the real test is catching your legendaries with Ultra Balls and stuff like that. This game, the Master Ball is there specifically for Mewtwo. You can use it on anything else, but trust me, there's a as you just said, Pedz, there is a special cutscene which is exclusive for when you use the Master Ball on Mewtwo. So I would say it's 100% worth doing it in this game to make sure you see it.
Right.
I know that doesn't answer your question you asked, but tough.
Yeah.
Right, as there are so many people in chat right now, do you have any questions, guys? If not, then we're going to end the stream. As Doom and Kriken seem very tired because They work
I am very tired.
a lot.
In this cutscene, is it like Mewtwo's like running around comically as the Master Ball chases after him?
Snapping it like, is it like a like
With
chattering
the-
teeth like?
Yeah.
What's the do 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 do
Yeah, the
do
Benny
do
Hill
do do
theme.
following it? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
No, Grandma's no questions.
No, cool.
Thanks, Graham.
Right, Graham,
you.
I shall catch you later, dude. And that also means goodbye to anyone else who's watching without speaking, because we are leaving now. Thank you for those that have tuned in. It's been great having you. As always, it's been great talking to Doom and Kriken.
Thank you for having us once again.
Thank you.
All I can say is goodbye and see you soon.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.